I'm Paul McMahan, and this is The Skinny.
From the Fatheadz Eyewear Studios in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny, brought to you by Toyota, Rhino Classifieds, General Tire, and Dream Giveaway. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Toyota. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of The Skinny. This week, we're going to bring a longtime racer onto the show, currently living in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome, Paul McMahan. He's competed in World of Outlaws for a number of years. Currently, I believe, competing in All-Star Circuit of the Champions. Initially started out on the West Coast, where he's from Elk Grove, California. Visited a lot of tracks out there, had some great success along with his brother, and has also competed with those wackos over there in Pennsylvania known as the Posse. So it's great to have Paul McMahan on the show here. Welcome, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, man. Hey, first of all, before we go any further, were you guys affected by those tornadoes down there a week or so ago?
No, fortunately, we were not affected. Everything was just a little bit farther north of us. We had some, our Christmas lights got blown off the roof and stuff like that, but no damage to our home. So we were very fortunate.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And I don't remember exactly when that was, but I do remember. I want to say it was about a year ago. I think it was during the pandemic time when you guys had that bombing down there in Nashville. Pretty sketchy. Christmas Day. It was Christmas Day. Yeah. So I was feeling like it was about a year ago. But man, oh man, what a sketchy deal! Because I had been down there. Just a few weeks before that, staying in one of the boutique hotels right down there on the Strip, and my wife and I both looking at that, I was like, holy smokes, I mean, that was really close to where we were.
Yeah, definitely. We were, my whole family was on an airplane heading to Mexico for our family vacation for Christmas, and we left I think our plane took off at 6:35, and the bombing was like 6:38. It was a crazy morning. When we finally I think we landed in Houston, I think it was, and everybody grabs their phones and you start hearing all about it. And the crazy story was I just gave my motorhome away, and here I am. We find out that the guy used the motorhome to blow up the building, and I'm thinking I just gave my motorhome away. I'm flying to another country. Please don't let it be my motorhome.
That would have stunk a little bit for sure, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So man, you've had a very successful career all along the way. And as I look at you starting off on the West Coast, I'm guessing you maybe even out there when San Jose was a half mile. But whenever I look at you competing out there with the NARC, and then coming over and competing with the World of Outlaws, and you competed with All-Stars, obviously, off and on. I mean, going back to, I think it was 01 maybe, were you Rookie of the Year, or 99, something like that, 99 Rookie of the Year for All-Stars. And then obviously running a bunch of Pennsylvania stuff. I mean, it's the mecca of sprint car racing. Can you make a comparison to or maybe everything's the same, I don't know, but is there a difference competing on the West Coast versus the World of Outlaws, where they go everywhere, and the All-Stars staying somewhat regionalized, versus Pennsylvania? Do you have to bring something unique to each one of those elements?
Well, I mean, growing up in California, we have on the West Coast we have all short tracks, so we always had very wet, sticky, and a lot of times rough racetracks. And the Outlaws, they always complained, when they came out back in the early '90s. That was kind of my forte, was the short track stuff. And then we only had one half mile in California with Calistoga that the Northern Auto Racing Club raced at. We had another one down down south, but it was more non-wing with Ascot and Paris. But it's when you first, when the Outlaws come to your porch, as they call it, like in PA, I was able to run very well with the Outlaws. So I thought, oh hell, this is easy. I can go run with these guys. And when I finally got my opportunity, I got out on the road and got a serious eye opening. Got my butt kicked day in and day out, and knocked the confidence way down. And Racing's the same, but when you're racing with the World of Outlaws, you got to take it to the next level. You know, PA, Pennsylvania, same way. You got to take it to the next level. Everywhere you go, you just got to take it to the next level. But the World of Outlaws is the pinnacle of the next level, and to run with them and be competitive is very tough.
What if you had to pick out a couple of things just to give the listeners an idea, and let's say one of those sprint car racers that has stayed locally to his or her area, and they think to themselves, like you said, I mean, the World of Outlaws come to town, they enjoy some success because they're at home and they know that particular track or two pretty good, and they think, hey man, I want to go on the tour with those guys. I think I could hang. Much like you just said, what were some of those lessons that you learned, or what is it that makes the World of Outlaws so difficult?
It's just when you race, you race locally. Like when I raced in California, I raced maybe 35 to 40 races all year long, and we do 35 to 40 races by June most of the time. We're in the World of Outlaws back in them times. We don't get as many now, but you know, back in the day, when I first started in the early '90s, was 40, 50 races was a lot in California, and then but you come with the Outlaws, and these guys they're at 40, 50 races by June, and they just got so much more seat time. They see every different type of racetrack conditions, way racetracks, they're able to read racetracks better, is what I think. Because they see so many different variables across the country, so they can always attribute, things to what, this track is sort of like this. This track used to go this way, and I think you just get you're so much, and it's a daily job. It's your job day in and day out. So you live and breathe it. Where when you race locally, you usually have to go to work Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I remember when we started traveling national tour with my son and sports car racing, and you always had those locals that were good at those racetracks. But a couple of years in to doing that, it suddenly is not intimidating that you're at a new track any longer. It's just figuring it out, and there's some turn on that track that is similar to some other turn that you've already been on at another track, or in your case, reading the dirt, anticipating what the dirt's going to do, all of those little elements that you guys become so good at. And as you said, I mean, we all know nothing replaces seat time. So, competing against somebody that's in the seat 80 to 100 times a year versus somebody 40, 50 times a year, both of those numbers huge, by the way. It for sure is going to give an advantage. But along with that, I think of the logistics that it takes to run up and down the road and compete 80 to 100 times a year, getting the parts and pieces that you need along the way. All of that travel, my goodness, dude. I mean, I've never even come close to a number like that they run with World of Outlaws. It's just unfathomable to me how difficult that must be.
Yeah, it's a different lifestyle. It's not for everybody. It's something that it's a passion you got to have, and it's a mentality you got to have. To live, to live out of a suitcase or living out of a motorhome and traveling up and down the road is it's hard. I mean, I raised two kids in a 35-foot motorhome, for till my oldest started school. So it's also that's a cool thing too because you get to take your kids to around the country with you and basically take your kids to work every day. So you just got to have it's not for everybody. Some people can do it. Some people can. I've had kids that come out on the road with me that think that this is what they want to do, and they get out there and they're out there for 2 3 months, and then they get homesick because you don't get home. And the logistics of getting your parts, UPS, FedEx, they all deliver to the hotels, and we uh, we use that a lot to just ship things to whatever hotel. You just got to plan ahead of where you're going to be staying. But in the same sense, that's what you're doing with your hotels all year long is making the logistics of making sure you had hotels in what part of the country. Me being from California when I first started, logistics getting home was never very good. So we moved to we it picked up and moved to Indiana area up in northern Indiana, and then finally made our final resting home here in Nashville.
Yeah, certainly Indiana. We hear that all the time. The guys coming from the West Coast going to Indiana, and they're going to chase a dream and love the open wheel style format. What uh, what prompted you to move to Nashville?
We have friends. My wife's best friend in high school is married to a guy that was in the music business, and the two brothers, they were the Marcy brothers out of Oroville, California, where my wife was from. So we came back and visited all the time, and really enjoyed Nashville area. And for me, I have to travel no matter what with racing. So this is kind of where my wife wanted to live, and so we just picked up and came to Nashville. It's only 5 hours to Indianapolis. I can get to St. Louis area in 5 hours, Williams Grove in seven, Eldora in six. So it's not that it's not that far out of the way, and we got a nice big airport here in Nashville that I can fly out of. And like I said, we're on Highway 40, Highway 65, and Highway 24, so I can go north, south, east, or west real easy.
Yeah, and very rarely is the high 18 degrees.
Yeah, very seldom do we get that, but we have had some cold winters, but not very often.
Roger that. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We have one of the true ambassadors of the sport here for sprint car racing on with us, Paul McMahan. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This segment of The Skinny has been brought to you by General Tire. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire. General Tire's Grabber X3 Mud Terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3. Make your anywhere possible by visiting GeneralTire.com today.
This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Rhino Classifieds. Tired of all those ads and random stuff that shows up when you're looking to buy or sell your car parts? Rhino Classifieds was created just for you. Welcome to a streamlined buying and selling app created by racers for racers and race fans. Modified cars, classic cars, race cars, that special big block you need, the trailer to move your baby around the country in. We got you at rhino.co. Once again, welcome back to The Skinny. We have Paul McMahan on with us this year. He's been racing since the 90s, still chasing the dream here today. Has finished as high as third in the points in the World of Outlaws on a couple of different occasions. In fact, inside of the top 25 on the all-time win list with the World of Outlaws. And I might throw in there, you're still a couple ahead of Kyle Larson. So, I mean, there's something there, at 27 wins.
Yeah, but Kyle did his in 2 years. That's only I did mine over a course of several.
I know he has certainly been spectacular, and we always knew he was pretty talented all along the way, of course. But man, the last couple of years, whew, talk about lighting a fire underneath somebody. It's been fun to watch for sure.
It sure has. Yeah, I mean, and me and Kyle were actually from the same hometown there in Elk Grove, California. He gives me a bunch of crap because everybody says, when they announce everything, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and he busts my balls pretty good about being, you're from Elk Grove, and I just keep telling him that's one thing I didn't want to take away from him.
Yeah, that was kind of you. So, so you also spent a lot of time with your son Braden. Do you see him getting behind the wheel here anytime soon, full time? You still going to chase this dream full time going into 2022? By the way, I failed to mention at the top of the show, and I should have. How are you feeling after your incident at Knoxville?
I'm better. I'm not 100% yet. My head's still, I mean, standing up, doing things, concentration. I'm pretty good at. I stutter a little bit more than I did before. I just can't. I can't. When I think I know what I want to say, but I can't put it all in words at the same time. So it takes me a minute to do that. But I'm pretty good. I just had surgery on my hand from when I got caught in the steering wheel there at Knoxville, and a few other little things that I needed fixed. So I got it all fixed in one shot. But I'm doing okay. I'm 51. I've banged my head a few times, so I don't know if I'll ever be right, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suffer from everything you just mentioned right there, and I don't remember banging my head anywhere in particular. So I really struggle putting words together. It's not good in my occupation. um, so what is the dream going forward? Do you see yourself back in the seat full time or part time, or
Uh,
are you going to lay off a little bit? What's the plan?
yeah, I haven't really. I mean, I definitely not going to be back in the seat full time. That's something I tried to do away with last year, and it just didn't work out. And we were going to do a two-car team with CJB Motorsports, and Brent Marks was going to run the full All-Star deal, and I was going to run about 40 to 50 races. And then Brent had his deal and went on to started back to his own team, and that kind of propelled me into running the All Star Circuit of Champions again last year, and something that I really didn't want to do, something my crew chief and Barry Jackson didn't really want to do. The crew guys didn't want to do. Nobody wanted to do it, but it was the right thing to do for Chad Clemens and CJB Motorsports, and because they they made an obligation to the All Star Circuit of Champions and Tony Stewart, so to have a car out there. So it was the right thing to do to put me back in the five and go run the whole All Star deal. But definitely not something I want to do, full time again. I'm getting a little too old to be up and down the road. I enjoy being at home, so I'd like to do some 30 40 races, but I also got to make sure my health is correct before I strap back in to do a whole lot of racing.
Yeah, I read along the way, and you traveled or you chased that World of Outlaw dream for a while, and we've talked about how many shows that is a year, and you admitted that you were burnt out on the process, and it does grind you down, and at the point that it no longer becomes fun, it must be difficult even to accept that, to know that how excited you were. I'm sure on day one when you were able to say, "Hey, man, I'm going to make this commitment. I'm going to chase this all year long," and it's a true dream come true, and then to be in it and chase it for long enough that you're burnt out, to finally sit back and look and say, "Man, I just don't know if this is what I want to do anymore." That's got to be a big moment in your life.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. Finally came to that. I finally had that mentality back in 2017. I wasn't having fun. We were running on the World of Outlaws, and my owner was hurting for a little bit of money. It's kind of strapped for cash, and it wasn't financially broke. It was just not racing rich. So in motorsports, you got to be racing rich to be out on the outlaw deal. So I came to the conclusion about, I don't know, it was about September 17, and I wasn't having fun, and the owner still wanted me to keep going, and but if I kept going, the owner was going to be out of business, and I didn't want to be that guy to put an owner out of business. So we worked some things out with some younger kids that had sponsorship behind them, and was able to keep the owner into the sport for a few more years until he finally just his fund meter was pegged, and decided to sell everything also. But yeah, I mean, after a while, it just, like I always told my wife, when this became a job, like it felt like a job, like getting up and going to work every day, I didn't want to do it no more. So I just finally said that was enough for me, and um, it became a job, and so now I got a normal job and get to race a little bit on the side and have a little bit of fun.
I was actually going to ask you. You said you're at work. So what is the day job?
I work at Quick Car Racing Products. This way I could still be involved in racing. It's all I've ever really known my whole life. So we do gauges and a lot of wiring and wiring harnesses for late models and modifieds and super late models and drag cars and all sorts of different things like that. So I'm getting an education here. I'm opening my eyes other to something other than sprint cars. So I love my job. I love coming to work. Never thought I'd say working 40 hours a week is something I'd love to do, but I actually enjoy coming to work and doing things that are new to me.
Yeah, it's not bad to be able to go home on a Friday and enjoy a glass of wine or something with your wife either. That's a
Yeah,
pretty nice
exactly.
gig once in a while.
Yes, sir.
so
Yes,
you
sir. I've really enjoyed being home.
so you said you've been involved in racing all your life. It's all you really know. Let's go back to the beginning because I know your mother was, I believe she was secretary of NARC back in the day, back in the '90s. But even previous to that, what was your first exposure to racing? What got you here?
Well, my grandfather raced midgets. I think he's got involved in it right after World War II. I think he started dabbling in micros and midgets, and then he started building quarter midgets. My mother raced, my uncle Jim raced, and then my brother turned 5 years old. We got quarter midgets. I mean, it was just something we did. And then when I turned five, I was racing quarter midgets. So um, like I said, it was just something that was brought into our lives that it's just like, your family is a baseball players, and that's all that's all you do. Well, we were racers, and that's all we've ever done our whole lives. So my parents, my mom is ate up with racing. She lives and breathes this is probably more than I do. But it's just something that it was brought into our lives at an early age, and I had a passion for it, and I was fortunate enough to make a living out of it.
You just mentioned your brother. I mentioned him also at the top of the show. If I'm not mistaken, I think he won Silver Dollar Championship in '09. Is he still currently racing? Who's better, you or your brother?
We both have our knacks. My brother was pretty good. I learned a lot from my brother. He's an older brother, so I learned a lot from him, and he helped me along the way when I was young. But I had the passion to want to make it a living, and he had kids at an earlier age than I did, and so his focus was more on the family and staying home and racing, racing, but raising a family at the same time. And I took the gamble in '96, and I just had one child at the time. Braden was just born, and took the leap of faith because it's something I've always wanted to do since 1978 when I went to my first World of Outlaw race at West Capitol Raceway was to run the World of Outlaws. So I jumped at the opportunity and did it. But like I said, my brother's a pretty damn good race car driver. Just never really wanted to be.
Wi-Fi isn't set up on your Echo Dot.
Sorry.
For help, go to your Alexa
Wi-Fi
app.
isn't set up on your deal there. Just
Well,
FYI.
Alexa, yeah. So
Wi-Fi isn't set up
oh
on
Welcome
your
to
gosh.
live program. Welcome to live programming.
So yeah, my brother just didn't want to do. He didn't want to do the travel. He just wanted to race. He ran some USAC and did some non-wing USAC champ cars, I believe it was. Back then, that was about his. That was only 15 races or so. So that was his as much as he really wanted to travel.
Keeping things in the family. How involved is your son?
My son is my internet social media guy, I guess you call him. He loves racing. He's ate up with it as much as the rest of us are, but he's actually going to school to be a school teacher right now. I think he's got a year left to get his bachelor's degree in teaching, and he would love to race. He got to race. I think he ran about 20 races of sprint car, 2016 and 17, I think it was. I actually won a wing sprint car race at Antioch Speedway, and would love to do it, but also understands that he's probably past that time to where he's going to get the opportunity to do it.
Well, that had to be a special moment for him to win at Antioch, knowing that that's one of your favorite tracks.
It definitely is. It was very cool, and he did it with my uncle, and my brother was there to, because I was out racing, so my brother kind of made sure everything was safe and took care of him and helped him and taught Braden, everything he needed to know about a race car. So it was very cool. It was Kings Royal night, 2016, I think it was. I had a horrible Kings Royal, and I was walking from the infield back up to my motorhome, and I get a text from my brother, and it says Braden's leading, 8 laps to go, and I was kind of out of shape, I thought at the time, but I made it from the infield to my motorhome because at Eldora you don't get very good Wi-Fi signal down in the pits. So I did a straight run, did my cardio up the bleachers down to where my motorhome was, and was able to get my wife and my daughter all together, and my sister-in-law was doing the FaceTime live, so I got to watch the last 8 laps, and very special moment for us all.
Yeah, that is super cool. As a father who watches his son race, I know the feeling that you're talking about. Arguably more important than a win of your own.
Most definitely. Shed a few tears that night, and every time I think about it, I about shed some more tears because for a kid that never thought he was ever going to race a sprint car, to get that opportunity, and then to go win a race, and he doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself, so he always downplays everything he ever's done, and you know, I'm very proud of both my kids, but yeah, Braden to win a race was very cool.
Awesome stuff. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back on the other side with the third and final segment. Stay with us. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Dream Giveaway. Dream Giveaway has been giving away high-end American muscle cars to raise money for charity since 2007. Dream Giveaway is known for giving away classic and new muscle and paying the federal taxes so the winners don't have to. For $25, you can jump in the game, and part of that goes to charity. You'll have a chance at winning some of the coolest cars on the planet. Check it out at dreamgiveaway.com. Welcome back to The Skinny. Paul McMahan on the show with us, and we've covered a gamut of him starting racing way back in the day and currently still after it, unfortunately, at Knoxville. I believe it was Hard Knocks night. Was that Friday night, I think it was, or Thursday night?
It was on my preliminary night, so it was
Thursday night then.
I think Thursday night I qualified. So yeah, Thursday night. I missed a few days in between all that I don't remember, but yeah, it was Thursday night.
It was a big hit with Carson Macedo, as I recall, and yeah, you went for a bit of a ride for sure. I'm sure you've been on a couple throughout your career. You just don't compete that long in this style of sport and not do it. But this one banged your head pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely did. When I don't remember a whole lot about the crash. They said I got out of the race car real fast. I mean, I've seen videos and everything, but I really don't remember a lot about Knoxville that weekend. I remember, talking to my wife a few weeks later, and she's, I was talking about Tony Stewart. We were talking, and she says, "Well, you talked to him at Knoxville," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't remember that part. I don't remember talking to him." Chad Wise, Zeb's dad, I guess, we went for a 2-hour drive one day, and that's all blank to me also. So, yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird having those parts of your days gone. I remember being there. I remember, being at the racetrack, but I don't remember a lot about it. So, maybe that's a good thing.
You had a moment this year too where something happened on the front straightaway, and then you ended up sailing off the front straightaway into the pits and it hit a push vehicle.
Yeah, it was at the last race I raced at Fremont. Track was rough. Everybody's kind of bouncing around, and me and another car, I was trying to get underneath the guy. He hit a hole and kind of shot left, and I hit the hole and kind of bounced up, and we met in the middle, and it broke the left front steering arm bolts off, and when it broke the bolts off, it ripped around and ripped the brake line off at the same time. So when it all gathered back up, I kind of was heading pointed straight, so I just got back in the throttle, and then it turned hard left, and no brakes, no steering. I was just kind of along for the ride and kind of split the flag poles, and lo and behold, there was a push Jeep sitting right on the other side of them.
Only in the world of racing, you just can't make this stuff up. You talked about chasing all this stuff on the road and how difficult it is, and I remember my dad racing when I was a young kid, and I remember all the stories. They would take the cars apart. He was in karts, so they'd take karts apart and they'd bring engines inside the hotel room, and transmissions were rebuilt in the bathtub, and the stories
Yeah.
go on and on and on. And you guys kind of still live in that world, and I bring it up because I think a lot of people don't understand it. I mean, I live here in Brownsburg, and it's not uncommon to see Casey Kane's hauler inside of the hotel parking lot, and those guys with all the cars unloaded, cleaning everything up, making whatever repairs it has to be, and boom, load it back up and take off again. I think a lot of people envision you guys having this big, beautiful, fancy shop, but that's not the real world, is it?
No, I mean, some places, we have shops and have our nice places to go to, but we just don't get to them very often. So, yeah, I spent many days there on the corner at the Comfort Inn Suites there in Brownsburg, right behind the Walmart, at making that our shop for weeks at a time. So, yeah, we do that everywhere. That's the nice thing about our sport is we're very accessible to people. So they get to see our race cars day in and day out for the most part in hotel parking lots. I mean, we've used hotel parking lots, we've used Walmart parking lots. If it's raining, we've used the car wash as cover to wash our car and then do our maintenance there because no one's to be washing their car in the rain. So yeah, we do some odd stuff and. We got to do whatever we got to do to get maintenance ready, get the cars ready for the next day.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is that you do whatever it is you have to do because, as they say, the show goes on, and if you're chasing points, I mean, there's no excuses. So it's just getting it done, and I think it's such a valuable lesson. You said you had some kids that join you on the road. I'm sure that's happened all along your career, but to teach those young people those valuable lessons of just how hard you guys work to achieve the goals that you want to achieve is a lesson that they could not learn anywhere else.
No, and most definitely, it's something that was I wanted to do back when I was young. That's all I wanted to do was work on my dad's race cars, and when my brother was racing, and I was not able to do that. I wasn't. I mean, not that I wasn't able. They just wouldn't let me do it because my dad had a partner at the time. So the partner did all the work himself. So when I finally got the opportunity to start working, other people let me do things at the races for them, mount tires and whatnot. I took advantage of it and listened and learned and got to learn from some great mechanics and like Dick Gillespie and Kenny Woodruff. And then finally one day I said I got to learn more. So I went out on the road with Johnny Herrera to run the World of Outlaws back in 1990. I just got my first ride that wasn't a family-owned race car, and quit it to go race with Johnny. And probably the best thing I ever did because I met a lot of great people, but I learned so much from Johnny, from Dick Gillespie, from Kenny Woodruff, Scott Gherkin. Just all these guys that I got to hang out with day in and day out and listen and learn was priceless.
Great stuff, man. Speaking of back in the 90s, and with this event just around the corner here, in fact, I think I just heard 364 entries for the Chili Bowl already. I could easily see this being a record year, and you have had some success here. I think your first appearance was 1996, but if I have it down right, 2001, you made the A and nearly finished in the top 5, finished 6th, I think. So a pretty spectacular run there at the Chili Bowl. Talk to me about that event.
Well, to be honest, my first event was 1996 at Chili Bowl. I did not know they had practice on, back then it was on Tuesday night. So my first midget experience, I drew my pill, never sat in one, never started one, and ran wings my whole life. So I got the green flag for hot laps in turn 1, and I destroyed the guy's race car in turn 3. I didn't even get a half a lap in. That was my first Chili Bowl experience. And then 5 years later, I was able to go back. Jerry Russell just built some midgets. Rusty Kuntz was working on them. He built them for Lasowski and Tony Stewart. And Tony couldn't race because it was the first year they did qualifying at the Chili Bowl. So Jerry kept hounding me, and finally I really didn't want to go back because I literally hurt myself. And so finally I told Jerry I'd come do it. And didn't tell him the story about 1996. And by the time I got there for practice day, I think about 10 people already told Jerry that about my first experience at Chili Bowl. So Jerry was a little nervous, very, very nervous, but and nobody wanted to work on the car. I mean, nobody. We had Beechler, Tracy Hines, Lasowski, and me was the 4-car team, and I was going on Friday night, and nobody really worried about me because during practice I was super slow and wasn't comfortable. And come qualifying night, I was second quick, ran fourth in the feature, and I was come Saturday, I was the only guy locked into the A main, and all of a sudden I had all sorts of workers on my race car.
You got to earn it, right?
Yep. That's one race I enjoy going to. I would like to do it one more time, but I just don't think that's in the cards for me.
Yeah, it's funny too because you talked about your uncles and stuff, starting off and running midgets. So it's pretty cool because it seemed like that was in your background, but yet you didn't get in one right away. You went right to the sprint car area.
Yeah, well, being in Northern California, the midgets were more of a Southern California thing. Down in Ascot, Irwindale, down that way. That was 6 hours from where I grew up in Elk Grove. So the only thing we had sprint cars on in Northern California. So and we didn't have you had quarter midgets and we had nothing in between. You had midgets and then sprint cars. I don't think we had like TQs were still a Southern California. The BCRA was kind of hit and miss. It wasn't doing a whole lot of racing in Northern California, and then you had USAC down the southern side. So it was just basically a no-brainer to go sprint car racing because it was really the only thing we really had that we could be at the racetrack within an hour and a half from home.
Put you on the spot here. I hate it when people ask me these questions, but it's more enjoyable when you get to ask the question. If you could pick out one win in your career, is there one that stands out more than the rest?
Yeah, probably just my first outlaw win. Every win's special, but to grow up wanting to be a World of Outlaw race car driver, and just because you're traveling up and down the road with the Outlaws doesn't make, in my opinion, doesn't make you a World of Outlaw driver until you actually win a race. So probably the first one I did at Sedalia, Missouri back in 2001 was that was very special to me. I mean, there's so many. The Brad Doty Classic winning that one. My very first win to my short track nationals wins. I mean, everyone's special, but the one at Sedalia, Missouri for my first outlaw win, I felt like that solidified myself into being a World Outlaw race car driver.
Yeah, is there something that sticks out in your mind where just the race itself was like so unbelievable, maybe slide job after slide job, or 2 or 3 or 4 of you guys, the biggest name in the business, and you climb out of the car and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we just did what we did?
Yeah, it was my deal was, I mean, I was very fortunate that night. Things went my way, but battling there, Mark Kinzer, back then was driving the Mopar car, and probably the fastest car in the country at the time, and racing with him, battling with him, and to hold him off for several laps to get that win was very special. And to beat the Mopar car, because the year 2 years before that, I was I would call myself the test dummy for Mopar before they actually got their motors running the way they did for Mark. So that was very special to me.
Yeah, a little redemption there. I certainly understand it. When you take a look at your winning record with the World of Outlaws, I mean, you certainly your wins far surpass that number of 27 with the World of Outlaws. But when you look at that, does it make you smile as an accomplishment, or are you more along the lines, because you guys are so competitive, it seems like all of our brains kind of work the same way, but when you see that, hey man, okay, 27 wins, that's pretty awesome. And by the way, it is extremely awesome. I mean, there isn't a person on the planet in the world of racing that wouldn't acknowledge you as a badass wheelman. You don't win 27 World of Outlaw races and be a fluke. So certainly solid driver, no question about it. Not to mention the cars themselves are just monsters. But when you look at that, do you feel a sense of accomplishment, or do you look at it and say, man, compared to Kinzer or some of these other guys, that have an incredible amount of wins, I mean, I pale in comparison?
I mean, I look at it both ways. I look at it that, I'm very fortunate that I had got the opportunity to actually go try to win 27 races, let alone win them. But yeah, I mean, I didn't do, you look back and you say, man, I was a journeyman. I call myself like, I don't even know how to put it, like, Mark Martin. Mark Martin won a lot of races, but Mark Martin never won a championship. Mark Martin never won Daytona 500. And, not that I'm anywhere close to Mark Martin because he won hundreds and hundreds of races. But I mean, that's the way I look at it is I've done pretty good in my career, but I can always, I'm just the guy that was fortunate enough to got the opportunity to go race because, like I tell all these kids nowadays, you better be humble because there's someone standing at the back door waiting to take your job, and there's people out there that can do your job probably better that just have not got the opportunity. So you better be humble, and that's just the way I've always tried to be, and it's the way you always want to do more, but sometimes it's just not in the cards.
Well, your record certainly stands for itself. More importantly, your reputation is admirable in the industry, and I don't think I've ever run across anybody that didn't speak very highly of you, and people use you as an example of an ambassador for the sport. When they use those types of phrases and those types of words, you've clearly done a great job, not only inside of the car, but outside of the car. I think it's a career you should be very proud of.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, it means a lot when people say those things. I always try to put on a smile no matter how my night went, and I always look to try to better our sport because I'm only going to be here for a small period of time, and I'm only a small part of the sport, and so I want it to be where, my son, my grandkids, his grandkids, I want everybody to be a part of this, and I want to keep it thriving and healthy for many, many years to come. And so, my grandkids are as fortunate as I am, or I was when growing up, to get to go to the races and maybe have the opportunity to drive a race car.
So I know that you'd like to get back on the car, at least on a limited basis, but we want you to take care of yourself. Hopefully those plans come to fruition here, and you can make that happen. We'd love to see you in 2022, at some select events along the way.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, like I said, my health is first, and like I've told many people, if this is the end of my career, I'm pretty happy. I got to race the way I wanted to race. I did things the way I wanted to do them for myself. I probably did some dumb things, quit some rides and did some things that I probably shouldn't have, but I always did things my way. I didn't bow. I didn't take the crap like some people have to do this, and I did things my way. And like I said, if it ends today, I'm pretty fortunate to have been able to do it for 35 years and make a living out of it for 27. So very happy and very honored to be a part of this sport.
Very cool, man. We want to thank you for taking the time here, especially during the holidays, kind of a holiday special here, if you will, as when this show will drop. But thank you for taking the time and sit with us and talk about your career a little bit. Thank you for the memories as well. It's been an incredible ride for sure.
Well, thank you, and happy holidays to everybody out there, and everybody stay safe. See you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul McMahan, another edition here of The Skinny. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us here on The Skinny. This episode has been brought to you by Toyota, Rhino Classifieds, Dream Giveaway, and General Tire. For the latest in sunglasses, optical frames, accessories, and apparel, be sure to check out Fatheadz.com. That's Fatheadz with a Z. Production facilities provided by Fatheadz Eyewear Studios. All rights reserved.